Mina Makhosi Nomabutho Emsamo, and this is Sangoma Society, where we demystify the ancestral and the astral. This is the full moon reading for the super full moon in Aquarius happening on the 1st of August 2023, while the sun will be in Leo. I do these readings in the context of Obunyanga Bami, where we read the astral bodies and their movements and interpret the impact of these movements for the collective. This is the first reading following our most recent reading for the retrograde season of 2023, which is very extensive, and there are several planets in retrograde at this moment, all impacting this lunation in different ways. You can go back and listen to that retrograde reading, because I'm not going to go too deep into those factors today. I'm going to be staying with this full moon in Aquarius quite closely. First things first, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Aquarius is the visionary of the zodiac and is a fixed sign ruled by the Stoic Saturn, which is currently retrograde in Pisces. It's time to envision our dreams. Envision the future that we want to live in and take stock of the work that it's going to take for us to get there. This super full moon lets us put down what we don't want to carry with us into that future. Aquarian vision isn't always at the center of what is popular, but rather what is authentic and true to who we really are. What is co-opted into our identity may be glaring in how it shows up to us at this time. What isn't from our truest sense of personal identity can feel like a burden that needs to be put down. So put it down. There's no need to perform that anymore. For us in the Southern Hemisphere, this moon represents the time for ukuzinza, for going inward, for restoration. And as the windy season begins to clear out the last of winter before the earth will begin her preparations for spring, so as the winds blow outside, take time to sit in the stillness of what is inside you and consider what you will bloom as when spring comes. Each full moon holds tension between the moon sign that it fills and the sun sign that opposes it within that season. Leo, where the sun is currently residing, is the extrovert of the zodiac and is ruled by the sun. Very happy to be at the center of attention, and this is where the sun will be during this full moon, in the house that it rules. So we can expect that we're all daring, or a little more daring than usual, with expressing what we feel is true for us within ourselves. Internally, though, we see the questions about our own authenticity being brought to our attention. And this is actually a good thing. We can let this full moon do its work in illuminating the areas of our lives where we hold on to stories that keep us from being our full selves, so that we can recognize what is out of alignment with the truth of who we are, so that we can let it go. Venus, being retrograde in Leo at this same time, is going to be putting more of the spotlight on us during this moon, particularly on how we show up for ourselves and how that in turn affects how we show up in the relationships that we share with those around us. Not just romantically, all our relationships, because some of what we lament about our external relationships is manifesting as a result of the nature of the relationship that we have with ourselves. In short, some of what you may be picking up as something that others are doing to you right now is very likely, quite possibly, something that you're also doing to yourself. Or possibly a projection altogether. With retrogrades, it's very easy to misunderstand certain things, misread certain interactions. And with this lunation, quick as you feel to voice your opinion, I would encourage that with Aquarius's ruler being retrograde, that you give some reconsideration to certain things. Especially because Leo has us feeling so vocal at a time when we might be projecting more than we think. Overall, it can feel a little tender right now because Chiron is also retrograde. And that may highlight the wounds that we try to hide even from ourselves and make us question how much of what we work so hard to suppress is actually the rupturing of wounds that need to be cut open in order for them to be healed. The stories we tell ourselves about why things are the way they are in order to placate our frustrations may rise to the surface and show that it is time to rewrite the script with words of healing now. As with every full moon, we will be extending the invitation to join Clearing into Consciousness, which is our 3-day full moon ritual. This remote retreat will give you the framework to address everything that this full moon brings to the surface and enable you to move forward from this lunation with a clarity on what is true for you. Clearing into Consciousness is a lifetime access program, and we've been doing the work in this way since the mid-year solstice of 2020. Before that, we facilitated this process of doing the shadow work under the guidance of your ancestors exclusively in our retreats. I remember when I first started facilitating Clearing into Consciousness online, how many times I would find myself in a consultation with a client who had participated in a cycle online and saying to them how powerful and just unpacking all of the stuff that had come out and how it's like, honest to goodness, especially with returning clients, it was just that conversation.
And when we were first instructed to bring this work to the collective in a digital space, it was when outside was not an option. Having in-person retreats was not an option. But the way in which this format made the work accessible was so phenomenal. And I remember having so many consultations with long-time clients where we would just marvel at what this work was able to bring to the surface. Because here you are engaged in guided meditation and guided frameworks for how you go about interacting with your ancestors with respect to the things that you want to bring to an end in your life. And that one-on-one experience with your ancestors that this work allows for you to experience is something honestly phenomenal. To experience clarity in the first person and not translated to you under the guidance of your ancestors, feeling their presence and knowing with certainty for yourself where you stand, painful as though it can be, is so powerful. It's a powerful way to gain real perspective on who you are beyond the stories you've been taught to believe about yourself, and how you can become more of who you are in a practical relationship with your ancestors. One that invites your participation. One that makes room for your agency. This is what we invite you to do with this full moon. And for those of us who are participating in this 6-week cycle of pivoting into purpose, we will continue on to lesson 2, which helps us to begin to confront those limiting beliefs that are holding us back from taking the actions that we need to take. Whichever of these programs you are using during this full moon in Aquarius, I'm certain that you'll be able to use the energy and the placement of the astral bodies where they are at this moment in time to better interrogate what it is that you're actually trying to manifest as when it comes to the truth of who you are and the vision that you're holding for your life, so that you can let go of what isn't even you to begin with and enjoy basking in Leo's sun as the manifestation of who you truly are in this moment, for yourself, for the vision that you hold for your life, and for the truth of your purpose in God. Allow your ancestors to be the guides that you chose for yourself on this journey. They're only waiting for you to recognize their presence, because they've always been there. We hope that this reading has given you some insight on how to navigate and take advantage of this super full moon in Aquarius. Mina Makhosi Nomabutho. It has been a privilege to be in your presence. You can find the transcription of this reading through our newsletter. Until then, Makhosi.